now it's time to blow. Like we don't need no water, don't bother, we let it burn. We keep the fire just a little bit hotter, that way you'll learn. Respect I earn, started with the click that I hang. Respect I earn, ever since I got in this game. Respect I earn, never wanted fortune or fame. I'd rather have these South Dago streets knowing my name. Checky check, microphone check. Checky check, microphone check. It's lights out, game over. If you want it, you can check my stats. Lights out, game over. Make way, cause the Kings is back. We bang boogie through your system, subliminal. We lyrical, murdering like a criminal. It's life or death, medical decision. We so dope out the lab that you need a prescription. The hood is listening, so for you that I wrote this. Keep it underground, sticking to the streets like the homeless. The dopeness, recognize the real P.O.D. Cause we triple O, O triple, triple O.G. Check, microphone check. Checky check, microphone check. It's lights out, game over. If you want it, you can check my stats. Lights out, game over. Make way, cause the Kings is back. Lights out, game over. If you really think you got it like that, it's lights out, game over. Word on the streets is the boys is back.
Hey, welcome to Martinsville Live, Martinsville, Indiana. I'm Gary Rowland.
And I am Justin Drake. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. This is our very first ever podcast here from Martinsville Live. And we are excited and we are nervous. And we've got a couple awesome guests in studio for our very, very first podcast ever. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
All right. Well, Gary, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce who is sitting over at camera 3.
Right across from me, ladies and gentlemen, Martinsville, Indiana, is the one, the only, a UFC, former UFC fighter, current firefighter for Indianapolis, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Chris Lights Out Lytle, I think the only one that I know that I can think of in my mind that's never been knocked out or submitted in the UFC.
Yeah, that's kind of a interesting honor, I guess. You know, it says that you can last a long time. But I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of other guys out there who've done a lot of good things. But you know, I do like to say, oh yeah, when was the last time you got knocked out? Oh yeah, that's never happened to me. So it's always fun to kind of brag about that to those guys who have done more things. But you got to throw your, do something better. So
I think it's awesome. That's a good achievement in my book.
Absolutely. Especially when your job is fighting.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely. And by the way, what a good song, huh? Do you like that? That was a great intro.
It gets me pumped. It gets me pumped up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the game plan.
Okay, so now we are going to switch over to camera 4. Someone that around this town absolutely needs no introduction whatsoever. Our Mayor Shan Cole.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We
so
are-
nice to meet you, Chris. And,
Well, thank you very much. That's
so
fantastic.
my son is a big Chris fan. Lights out.
I told you her son is very smart,
Yeah.
very intelligent,
He's-
very wise, beyond his age. I know he's 28 now, but
I think he is. Yeah. I lose track after like 18.
I'm
I
with
mean, I
you.
just
He's
you know
over
I have
18.
to think like how old
you
my
did your
kids
job.
are.
You
Yes.
lived to 18.
I did.
It's all
I
you
did.
can do. It's all
That's
up to
right.
him
I
after
never
that.
forgot until before they were 18, and then I couldn't. I just get them. They get confusing.
How many kids do you have?
3.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all adults now. So.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess to start off the show, I just kind of want to go over some stuff with you about your career, accomplishments that you have achieved. Ultimate Fighter 4. How was that?
That was very interesting. A lot of people think, being on the reality show is a lot of fun, a lot of entertainment. But to be honest with you, you go out to Las Vegas, and just for me to get out was difficult because, like you said a minute ago, I've been a full-time fireman for 17 years now, so I had to take off the fire department. I had to go out there. I have 4 kids. I got you have
Yeah,
3.
you
I
do
got
have
4.
me beat. Yeah.
So I had to leave my wife and kids and go out there and spend 7 weeks out in the desert. And, you know, it sounds like a lot of fun, but, you know, you go there, there's no TV, there's no radio, there's no books, there's no cell phones. Some people freak out. There's nothing there besides we'd go to the gym and we would go to the house, and that was pretty much it. I think once it was pretty awesome. Everybody got staph infection, so we got to go to a hospital once and get checked out. And I was like, oh, this is different. This is awesome, you know. And besides that, that was it. Went to the YMCA like once, and somebody got in trouble there, so we never got to go back. So it was basically 6 weeks at the house, and you know, a little bit of traveling of nothing besides training. But I personally loved it because I never got to do that before. Before, I always had, you know, the job at the fire department, working there and spending time with the kids. I never got to really concentrate on fighting. So when I was actually there training twice a day, 7 days a week, I felt like I got immensely better. And you know, a lot of people were complaining, man, I want my phone. I was like, who cares about a phone? I want to be here and train with some of the best guys in the world.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
You know, not only was he a UFC fighter, but you also had a little spurt in some boxing. And
Yeah,
I heard you
yeah.
had a decent run at that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I loved boxing, actually. It was, I kind of went up at one point. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a TV show that came out, had Sugar Ray Leonard on it and Sylvester Stallone. It was called The Contender, and they had a boxing, like kind of like The Ultimate Fighter, but for boxing. Anyway, they had a second season coming out, and they wanted me to be on it, and I went up to Chicago for an interview, and they decided if they were going to do my weight class, I was definitely going to be on it. But they went with like a 145-pound weight class, and a little different for me. I couldn't, unless I was going to cut off both my legs, it wasn't going to happen. So I went with the UFC and kind of stayed with that, and then they wouldn't let me box. So.
Okay. You were like a 175-pound Indiana State boxing champion, weren't you?
Yeah.
I thought so. Southport High School.
That's correct.
And I'm assuming that's where you met my brother.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It might have been middle school. I don't even know. So.
Did you guys?
We were on the same wrestling team and everything.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you guys had wrestled together.
Oh, yeah.
And, so when we decided to do this, and I was trying to think of a first guest, I couldn't think of anyone better, really. Actually, David was the first person that I called, and I was like, "Hey, man, do you think you can possibly get a hold of Chris? Do you think you can come down here and do this?"
That's an honor. I appreciate it. But I mean, I hate to, you know, you got the mayor sitting right next to me. I got nothing on that. You know what I mean?
The mayor is definitely awesome.
Thank you.
She has done so much for this town,
Thank
and
you.
I have seen so much change and so many positive things happen within this community just in the short time that she has
Absolutely.
been mayor.
You know,
Thank you.
that's
Thank
awesome
you.
to hear, and I don't know if it's just that it seems maybe, you know, you can do that better with a smaller town, but it seems like the bigger the government gets, the harder that is to do. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
just seems like one person has trouble doing much, the bigger it gets. But
Yes.
that's a totally different subject.
No, thank you. That was real. Thank you for saying that. That was
You're very
nice.
welcome.
So.
You just fought like a few months ago too, right?
You know, I retired from the UFC a while ago, but I did have a bare knuckle boxing match over in London. So, you know, I had to. Yeah, I know it sounds a little crazy. I quit doing the UFC to do something people think is worse, and it's really not. I thought when I first watched, I was like, what is this madness? I got to watch a fight, and then I watched it, and I was like, I think I want to do that once, you know. So I got a hold of them, and they were like, yeah, we'll have you come over, and I got to go over to London and have a fight. So I was scheduled to do another one, but I just hurt myself and getting old, I guess. I don't know.
And you're 43,
Yeah,
correct?
correct.
4 kids, full-time firefighter. Do you still do any of the Fox Sports 1 MMA analysis
No,
stuff?
I mean, really, you know, that was kind of a trial thing. And what they basically say, if you really want to continue to do that, you have to relocate out to Los Angeles. And I'm like, I'm not up in me and my family and all, and quitting the fire department to go do that. You know, it's not
Right.
right. I do a lot here. I try and get involved with quite a bit. You know, I got my foundation and different stuff that, you know, to go talk on TV. No, I mean, I just did. They have something called the Coliseum Combat. They have fights up in Kokomo, and I've been doing commentary for that. So just not quite the same level, obviously, but it's still fun. So
Gary?
I'm just starstruck right now. I watched you fight. Anytime that you were on was an honor to watch you fight. You know, not only because you were good and you put some beating downs on some people, but because you're an Indiana native, and I always like to back our hometown people. You know, whether or not you're not in Martinsville, obviously, but you're Indiana, and I like to support our Indiana groups and single people as well. And just to let you know, as a huge fan, he knows that I'm a huge fan of yours. It's really awesome to get to sit right across the table and meet you. It's an honor.
Man, I appreciate that. That's fantastic. But I mean, I've just been pretty fortunate. You know, I really enjoy the same as you. You know, I love it trying to support all the people from, you know, where you're at. I'm all about Indian MMA or pretty much any sport I want to support. Not only just MMA, even like companies. I only want to like eat at local mom and pop restaurants and everything. I mean, I'm all about kind of anything local. I really have a passion for that, so I try and help those people out as much as I can. So I appreciate you, you know, thinking of me as this is our guy. Thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Also, on another note, I work for the mayor for the city of Martinsville, and
You work with the mayor.
I work
Yes.
with the mayor.
Look at her.
She's been
Look how good she is. No wonder she keeps getting elected.
Let me tell you, she is great. She really is easy to work with, and even better to hang out with on a personal level. You know, if you get the chance to do that. Easy going. I don't think they get any easier going than she is.
Not at all. And that's the thing is, she's involved in the community from every aspect. Like over the winter, you would catch her in a snow truck plowing snow.
I really couldn't wait for the first snow because last year the year before we didn't have any snow. So I was up at like 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I was waiting for the snow so I could go plow. It was so fun.
Is that part of the city's plan on saving money? You know, taxes you're cutting back because you're doing the work yourself.
I know.
It's like sweat equity.
It is. You're
Good
right.
plan. I like it.
I know.
You hear this, Mayor Hogsett? You listen, buddy.
But she also, she goes out with the police and when they do their Operation Sheepdogs and on warrants and things of that nature.
I think that's really important, and that's one thing that bothers me immensely is I look at the things that happen on the fire department that I know of. I know there's more than the police. I train with a lot of police, friends with a lot of police, but I mean, I just see a lot of things that happen. I'm like, the people making the decisions have no idea what they're talking about because they don't understand on the actual ground level. And they don't want to know what's going on there. They know what makes them look good and what they can help get them elected, but they could care less about what's really good or bad for the people. As long as it looks good, that's what they care about, and that's a huge problem.
Yes, I agree, and that is not Shannon at all.
Yeah. It's I think the thing is you don't really realize how much our guys do, from the fire department, police department, street department, water department, all the way down. I mean, you just have no idea. The conditions that they work in, sometimes they're not always pleasant. But they do it, and a lot of times we don't know it. Some of these water leaks and big drug busts and stuff, they're at night, so everybody's sleeping. So nobody knows what all's going on.
By the way, big shout out to our sheepdog on that.
Yes,
did you see all them faces and
was good.
They did great.
They did, yeah, they did. It was a great night. So
like Shannon has even taken it as far as I actually listened to an interview with you. I can't remember who it was with earlier today, where you were talking about the opioid crisis.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how a lot of that begins because of pain medication and people getting addicted to pain medication. Well, she's even gone as far as, like, on behalf of the city, they have sued the major drug manufacturers and the distributors as well.
Yes, we filed a lawsuit last month with that. So.
Okay, that's interesting, because I was wondering about suing the manufacturers. I could see the distributors. I would say, as a manufacturer, and this is my ignorance, I didn't understand how they would fit into that, because I mean, they make a product that's actually a decent product to help certain people, but is it not the distributors who would be in charge of that? How does that tie into the manufacturer? And I apologize I'm my ignorance. I did not understand that, because I mean, I'm like, I get the fact, but we need a certain product, and if people abuse that, I'm trying to understand it.
Well, I think the biggest issue is in 1970, Congress passed some rules that they had to follow to distribute out their opioids and their pain medicine. And so there were things that they were supposed to do, like report suspicious, number of pills to a community. Like like you might have a toothache and they might give you 30 pills or 60 pills, and so when you only need a couple. So those are the kind of things that the drug manufacturers and distributors failed at, which is, even though their numbers were still rising as far as what we were getting into our communities, they didn't follow the procedure with the FDA. So that's kind of what we're going after right now. And the reason is because it has drained the city's resources to fight this problem. The blight that it's caused by, houses that are, they're like drug houses now because they're old, abandoned. We started cleaning those up. We've got a state statute that we follow. So we're getting rid of that stuff, but that stuff's costing us money.
Sure.
To take care of.
So you just want to try and get reimbursement for what their portion of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So it's not like we're going out and, we have Just Cause, and they do need to crack down on these opioids. But opioids isn't the only problem here. We still have meth. We still have weed. We still have cocaine, things like that.
Yeah.
But the opioids, we know that that was something that probably could have been a little bit less.
Sure. Now,
if they'd have followed the rules.
A follow-up question on that was, my only thing was, so are the distributors and manufacturers intertwined, is what you're saying? It's not two separate entities.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking if they're two separate entities, go for the distributor. I get it now.
Right.
I get it. Now, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
That was a totally different point. I'm just saying, I would agree with what you're saying as far as that is not the only problem. However, maybe just where I'm at, that's the bad one. That's what we're getting way more heroin problems.
Right. Yeah.
And I fully believe that that's due to pain medications.
Yeah.
I have friends and relatives who have gone down that path due to the fact they think they're doing what they're supposed to, prescribed by a doctor. And who knows, is a doctor pushing that stuff because drug reps are giving them free trips? I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. I know there's something there that's not going on right, because there's no reason, like you said, somebody should get 60 pills for a toothache. But that is happening. These people become addicted, and then you can't get enough pills, or it's cheaper just to get heroin. There's some reason they're going heroin, but it's definitely a real situation that needs to be addressed. I agree with that.
Yeah, and just statistics show that if somebody gets a one refill, 1 out of 7. Or I'm sorry, I can't remember. I don't want to say that number for sure because I don't have my papers right in front of me. But you come back a year later and that person is still on the opioids, and that's a problem. I mean, if they don't need it. I mean, some people. The bad thing is there are people that need it, and unfortunately, like everything else, it comes at a price. So, our goal is not to make it hard for people who need them, who generally have a condition that they need it for. It's mostly to stop the drug trafficking and things of that nature that are coming through our community.
Yeah, the doctor shopping and that whole thing.
Right.
It's I'm sure that you probably see it a lot, especially in your profession, with people getting hurt and people getting injured. And I'm sure that stuff's probably just handed out.
Man, I remember, a long time ago when I first started training and fighting, one of my friends who I was training with went over to Japan and fought with him and everything, and he had an injury to his hand, and he had a surgery. He got hooked on some pain pills, had another surgery, ended up stealing prescription pads, getting caught with that, doing prison time. I saw him a few years ago. He'd been on heroin. He was on methadone for the past several years. Looked like a completely different person. I couldn't barely believe it. So it's a lot of fighters, like I said, you were constantly hurt. If you ever not hurt, something's wrong. You're not training hard enough. So fighters are constantly hurt, and that's been a good tool for me to talk to people about, saying, you cannot take the easy way out, and you have to deal with some pain sometimes, because I refuse to take pain pills for anything now because of that.
Right.
sometimes, you have to, toughen up. I don't want to say that about all situations, because I have had some situations where, I've had surgeries and you have to. But I mean, even like I just had surgery. I took my pills for like 2 days, and I did what they said not to. I flushed them all down the toilet.
Right.
I don't get that, by the way. They say don't flush them in the toilet. I really didn't, but if they say can't get in the water, I'm like, you know what else is in that toilet water? You can't get that. You can't get what's going on here. I don't get it. Totally different point. Never mind. I apologize.
So, you care if I ask a question?
No, go right ahead.
So, one of our viewers asked earlier, what would, in your career, who and what was your toughest opponent in fight?
Wow, man, those are some good ones.
Good
Toughest opponent, man. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to say, like at the time, I fought, Matt Hughes right after he lost the title to St. Pierre, and he was doing whatever he could to get back up there. And my game plan was to go out there and just try and knock him out. I knew he was going to try and out wrestle me, so I was like, well, if I, stall him out and nothing happens, they'll stand us up. I'll get 5 or 6 chances and knock him out. And how it worked out, like they never stood us up once, so I get 3 chances and knock him out. But he was really tough, really strong, had a lot of pressure, and he was very tough ground-wise. I fought a guy in a boxing match named Omar Pittman, who was a really good Philadelphia prospect, up-and-coming guy. He kind of beat me up pretty good for the first couple rounds, and then I knocked him out in the late 7th round. It was a lot of fun for that one. So boxing-wise, I would say him. I saw him fight a couple times on TV after that. He was a very good fighter. Who else? One of my toughest fights, I would say, mentally for me was a friend of mine, Matt Serra. That was at the end of that.
Matt the Terra Serra.
That was at the end of that Ultimate Fighter, because we'd been roommates. He was like one of my best friends. We're on there for about 6 weeks, and then we came down to the winner, got a bunch of stuff, and the loser didn't really get much. And we both really needed to win that, and it was a split decision loss. But I mean, those were. Man, thank you. that was just tough. I had to fight him twice. I beat him here in Indianapolis, which was nice. But I mean, it's just tough fighting people more intimately like that. As far as he was a friend of mine, and I knew what was on the line for him and his family.
Right.
No, that made it tough to go out there, and you don't want to go out there and kill the guy. So,
Now you were TKO'd one time due to cut stoppage.
Actually, twice they call it for a cut, but
Twice.
I think
Is that the scar right above your?
No, I had one over here that was from that, and the other one was like on my eyelid. But I mean, the weird thing about I fully really think both of those fights I had a very good chance of winning.
Right. I remember one of the stoppages.
Which one was that? You remember? Thiago Alves.
The who?
Thiago Alves. Like we were in a really good fight. We won the fight of the night, and they stopped it after the second round. It wasn't. Even
I think you were
bleeding
pretty bloodied up. Yeah.
No, it wasn't that.
No, the other one.
No, that was Joe Riggs when I got. Yeah. But that one, like I knew I was on top of him passing guard, and I got hit with an elbow, and I knew he told me he was pretty much done after he had gassed out. He'd cut a bunch of weight, and I was feeling like I was going to win that fight, and then I got cut open. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah, it's pretty bloody up. Rough. It was rough, but I don't consider those knockouts or losses really, because I mean, to me, I always envision like what would happen if there was no referee or no judge.
Right.
Who's gonna die at the end of the night? I was like, it's not gonna be me. I'm gonna make it to the end. And when eventually you'll get tired or whatever, and you'll quit. And even if I'm bleeding, I'm still gonna keep going. If my life was on the line. So I feel like those weren't like losses. I guess I don't know.
Right.
I can justify my losses very well. Why I should have won.
Well, I think if it makes you feel better, I think it was BS that they called it over a cut myself.
I do too. I mean, it depends
absolutely.
on where it's at. That one was a bad one, but the other one against Thiago, I got cut open the first punch he threw, and then I got another little one right there. And after the second round, they stopped. I was like, it's not even bleeding anymore. Like he was bleeding the first round. I couldn't see very well, but second round, not at all. I didn't understand it, but. New Jersey, what are you going to do?
I actually have a question, too, that was submitted by somebody to the page. Karen Mittendorf. She wants to know, which UFC fighter do you respect the most and why?
Good question.
Woo! Wow, man, that's a pretty tough one right there. Who do I respect the most? There's quite a few guys out there that are actually out there, doing quite a bit of good stuff. Right now I'm gonna kind of split this up between two guys, and they've actually fought, I really enjoy the fight. The two guys who I'm respecting the most right now, I'd say, are Matt Brown and Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And the reason I'm liking those guys the most is because, to be honest, they'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, and they don't fall into the categories, I'm going to try and outpoint this guy, and I'm going to win at all costs. And that's what the sport is supposed to be about. Fight anybody they ask at any time, go out there, fight hard, win, lose, or draw. You put on the good fight. You don't try and just eke out a decision because nobody wants to see that. That's what I used to love about when they would have fights in Japan and Pride. It was all about putting on a great show. If you lost, they'd bring you back because you showed heart. They had a different system where if you got you could get a yellow card, was like in soccer, but a yellow card means they take away some of your money because you were in activity. Didn't happen very often. You got a yellow card, they're not going to bring you back. Nobody wants to see that. That was their mentality there. We've lost that in the UFC because it's all about winning. Have you ever seen a title elimination fight? Whoever wins this fight gets a title. They're boring as can be. Nobody wants to do. They're afraid to move. They're afraid to do anything. Not with those two guys. They're going to come and they're going to fight. And to me, having that fighter spirit and have a good attitude afterwards, that's kind of what it's all about. So I really want people to go out there and promote the sport in the way it's supposed to be, because it's not always about winning and losing. It's about you overcoming certain things and going out there and laying it all on the line, and then whatever happens, that's going to happen. But dealing with wins and dealing with losses. It's really easy to be a good winner, a little more difficult to be a good loser. But both those guys have lost quite a bit, and they don't make excuses for it. To me, that's one of our biggest problems in our society right now. Is nothing's ever anybody's fault. I mean, right. It's not your fault. I mean, what happened? You see now parents come into schools and they say, well, my kid didn't do that. I'm like, that didn't used to be the case. It was the kid's fault when it is their fault. Same thing here. I talked to people. I was talking to somebody, and they're like, two different guys. They were telling me why they didn't get on the fire department. And one of them was, black guy, and he's telling me, well, he didn't get on because they're only hiring their cousins and their friends and people they know. He doesn't know the people, and he's black. I was like, okay. And then I talked to another guy, and he was white, and he said they're only hiring women and minorities on the fire department. And I was like, okay, so both you guys didn't get hired because you're color. That's impossible. Well, what did you do? Did you go to fire science 1 and 2 class at Ivy Tech? No. Did you become an EMT? No. Did you try out for the paramedic? No. You did nothing, and you complain about why you didn't get on because of something somebody told you to, right? So my problem with that, when you make excuses for what's not working for you, is you can't fix that. If you can't fix things that aren't your fault, and everything people say it's not their fault. So that's one of the first things I did. I remember when I lost my fight against Matt Sayre, I eventually, I was hearing all these reasons why I lost. They wanted him to win, the judges, and finally when I said, you know what, that was your fault, Chris. You didn't do what you should have. And then I started applying that for other things, in my life. And once you can try and fix things. You can't fix if it's not your fault. You're never going to fix it. So why even try? But once I figured out things were every fight I lost was my fault, and all the things that I do wrong in my life they're my fault. They're nobody else's fault. And I can fix that, but I have to admit it first. And that's our big problem, I think. Right. I don't know how that came about from that question. I apologize.
That's all right. And I think as far as it's just responsibility. You know what I mean? People aren't taught to take responsibility for much anymore. It's always, it happened because of this reason or because of that reason, instead of, sometimes looking at yourself and kind of turning that, looking in the mirror and turning that around.
There's also a huge entitlement that people have these days.
Yes.
So I remember always having my mom and dad saying, you got to work hard to get a job, and you got to never be late, never miss.
Yeah, so. And like you were talking about at school, man, if I got in trouble at school, I was in more trouble when I got home. My parents didn't come to school to defend me to the teacher. I was in trouble because the teacher said I was bad.
Oh, they didn't even come to school or wait till I got home. They was whack him and whack him right now. and let me tell you, I got a few whacks in my day, and it did not feel good.
Okay, I have a question for you from our police chief somewhere.
All right. Is he?
Are you-
I bet I know what it is.
Now let's
He's asking me how he could get hired on the fire department.
let's
Is there a
now
lateral transformation? So is that what it is?
and now.
Do you know how many times I hear that in my office?
I
every
am
day
not
between-
above throwing some fire jokes out now.
He is not. It's all
I
day
love it.
long. With
Lights
the-
out, Lytle or not, I will throw some fire jokes out.
Brilliant. That's all I got. Hey, I got 2 stepbrothers who are police officers.
Now
My
before
stepdad.
you ask this question, let me go.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, I gotta ask the question first.
Oh.
That's got to lead into it.
Okay.
Hang on.
Now there's a story behind all of this.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
So our police chief, Matt Long, great guy. His brother is actually on the police force as well, and his other brother is a member of the sheriff's department. Great family, great group
Law
of
enforcement
guys.
family.
Yeah.
pretty much.
He wanted me to ask you, can you demonstrate your favorite lights out move on Gary?
Oh,
Hey!
Ass Whipper Roland. Gary Ass Whipper Roland is what he called it.
oh.
Are we gonna do that now or
no.
later? You know.
Oh, later's fine too.
Okay.
I got a camera.
Either one. Now
Sorry,
we got.
Gary.
Yeah, you're welcome, Matt.
Now we have to tell you why he has this name.
Yeah,
So,
let's hear it. Let's hear
all
it.
right. So this is a true story. A few years ago, I wanted to get in shape. I had some neighbors that trained MMA. Actually, one that was kind of like a coach, and ran a camp called IFS, Independent Fight Science. Just a small little thing, about 8 of us, 9 of us maybe.
Nice.
We did it in the backyard. We worked out together. We trained together. I didn't fight. I did fight my partner. A little bit of sprawling, a little bit of grappling, stuff like that. He fought a few of them. But we trained, 3-4 times a week.
Awesome.
And that was the best shape that I've ever been in my life. I wish I was in that shape now. So, of course, you're proud of what you're doing when you're in shape and when you're doing good things and you're feeling it. The thing about it is I show up at work one day,
What do we got here?
and this is hanging on the chief at the Times wall.
You have to show that to me.
I'm
He's building it up for
I
suspense.
can't
This
wait
is
to see this.
to chief, signed ass whipper, XOXO with hearts, and it's me.
Oh my gosh, you were in shape then. Look at you. Wow. I'm telling you.
You know what I'm saying? What happened?
Sorry,
That's
Gary.
why
You're
I
still
don't
fine,
So-
but-
Wow.
yeah.
I hope you all got a
Looks
kick
like
out
a
of
big guy
that.
right there, brother.
Well,
Get ready to kill somebody.
they call me ass whipper. So before you leave today, that picture that we took before we started the show, I'd like you to sign this glass,
Absolutely.
and then I'm going to put that picture of all 3 of us in here.
Cool.
And we're going to hang it right there on the wall.
I love it.
Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Ass whooper.
So
Better nickname than mine.
now I'm getting a bunch of text messages. So.
Okay, so now I kind of want to transition into talking about the Chris Lytle Foundation.
Fantastic. Now I brought you guys a couple books here for each of you to have.
Oh,
one.
sweet.
I can sign those later. These were something I made up because, I'll tell you why I kind of came up with the foundation and how the book came to be as well. I was going out a lot and giving speeches about work ethic or whatever. Whenever people would ask me, hey, will you come talk to this wrestling team? You come talk to our football program? Absolutely. And I kind of decided I want to talk about things that are important to me. Now, he's open to the front page right there, and that has the reason I got involved with this is my son right there. I have 4 kids.
Aw.
We talked about my youngest son, Jake, has autism. I'm sure you guys know somebody with autism, so you can tell my son might act a little different sometimes, and I get that. So I worried about him. I worried that people are going to treat him right. People are going to make fun of him, make him feel bad for things he really has no control over. He didn't choose this. So I would worry about that, and it caused me to become like hypersensitive to other people. Like I look in Indiana's like one of the top 3 in the country for like suicide attempts or thoughts of suicide, something of that nature. So it makes me like think, what would you do if your child killed themselves because of how people were treating them? That happens every day, and you hear about it. I'm like, man, you'd obviously never be the same. So it was just something I thought, man, I want to for some reason, for some crazy reason in this world, if you're on TV, sometimes people think you know what you're talking about, or they want to hear you. I don't know. So I try to go to schools, you know, and show some highlight videos and talk about not only being nice to people, because that's never going to happen. Not everybody's going to be, but trying about, if you see a kid who's being picked on, to try and help them out, to try and stand up for them. You know, I hate it when you're watching, you know, look on Facebook and there's a video of some kid getting beat up and everybody's sitting there laughing and recording. I'm like, why didn't somebody put the phone down and help that kid out? You know what I mean? I mean, this kid clearly cannot help himself out and nobody's doing anything. That really bothers me. So I was going out and talking to schools like that, and I remember thinking, man, you can give a really good speech and they might forget it in a couple weeks. So I wanted to come up with some visual things that people, that would bring them back, and their memory would go, oh yeah, I remember when Chris was talking about that. So I got these books. I wrote a children's book too that I can, you know, they can, whenever I go to a school, I make sure I bring, if I talk at the high school, I say, well, how many elementary schools do you have? And I try and bring a book for every elementary school, and, you know, a couple for the high school. I go in the library, wherever, you know, and I try and, we'll be wearing our shirts. You know, Rex was able to bring one of his that basically says to rise up against bullying, because, like I said, we're not talking about just being nice, because if you have 100 kids and 98 of them are nice, those two can cause a lot of problems. You know, they can ruin a lot of things. But if you just have 2 kids who will stand up, I mean, out of 100, because it's tough, I get it. But if you can get a couple kids who actually stand up for some of the kids, that could solve a lot of problems. You know, and I want our kids to start being those leaders and being the people, you know, that's why I got involved with sports, because, you know, it teaches you how to be a man, and I want our kids to learn these lessons. You know, I really target, you know, wrestling teams, football players, basketball players, because I'm like, people look up to you. You know, you need to be looked up to. If you will kind of go up and stand up for somebody it'll do a lot. It'll do a lot for the school. So, well, that's a lot about the foundation. I'm fortunate enough I got people helping me. I know Rex goes to a lot of my events, who's with me today, and just trying to get out to as many schools as we can. You know, people always go, why did you come to this school? I'm like, I can't just go to them. You know, I can't. I'm coming here. You know, gotta have people make the introduction, say, you know, when do you want me to come, and you know, what do we need to do? I've been pretty fortunate. I've had some fundraisers. I try and get some, you know, local businesses to kind of help support this, and buy some of the books and shirts and bracelets and just do things and just give them to the school for whatever we can do to get out and get the message out there. Because, like I said, my goal is to help kids like my son, obviously. So.
Right. That's awesome. And we've actually got quite a few people asking where they can go to purchase the books and the shirts both.
ChrisLytleFoundation.org, the ChrisLytleFoundation.org. And, you know, anything they could do, that would be great. Like I said, whenever I get that money, I try and just, you know, we try and put it back and give it out to the schools. Because, like, I went not too long ago to, I was at Lyndhurst Middle School, and 95% of those kids are on free or reduced lunch. Yeah. So they don't have a lot of funds to pay for anything, you know. So I was able to, through other donations, I was able to, you know, give them some books, give them some bracelets and everything. They already had some shirts from, I went over there before. And I was just talking to the people over in Richmond, Indiana. They're having me come out and give a speech for something. The money that I get from that speech is going to go to their school to do the same thing.
That's awesome. If there is anybody from any of the schools in Martinsville that would like to have Chris come to the school and do a speech or talk about his book or anything of that sort, comment down here. I'll make sure that you guys all get connected, and hopefully we can, you know, get you down here. And
I'd love to, because it's funny. I can't remember who we were talking to. Somebody, it was up in Carmel. Somebody wanted us to talk to him up there, and my guys at my foundation got a hold of him. And Carmel goes, we don't have any of those problems here, and kind of hung up. It's like, really? That's kind of interesting. So I know everybody has these problems. You know, if you don't have those problems, that's the first. You know, yeah. So yeah. I think everybody's going to have that. So I think the thing I like about it is the first thing I do when I come in is I play like a highlight video. You know, like a 5-minute thing, and people are usually just kind of watching. And I don't even know if they know what I'm going to talk about, but afterwards they're kind of engaged. I remember I did one that Stony Brook Middle School, there was just like a mace or pepper spray incident recently. But anyway, they were they listened to me pretty intently, and afterwards the principal was like, I don't know if they're going to do anything you said, but I've never heard him so quiet. You know, so that's at least good. I was like, oh, cool, I'll take it. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so we do have a special little guest here. That's perfect. That's going to be making his way in. His name is TJ. He will be 10 on May 8th.
Okay.
He's diagnosed with ADHD. He's been bullied a lot at school, just kind of being pushed around and laughed at. He's had, like, you know, his lunch taken from him and stuff. Things that he likes, he loves, like, kung fu and karate movies. He wants to actually get into, like, coding and video game designing.
Jeez, he knows more about what he wants to do than I do still.
And he wants to be he also wants to be a YouTube star. What youngster doesn't?
Exactly.
And Spider-Man is his favorite superhero, and he likes Legos and Nerf
Nice.
stuff.
Talking about you, bud.
So come on up here. How are you, TJ?
Hi.
What's happening, TJ? Chris Lytle, how you doing?
Nothing really.
Cool.
If you can, you could probably share this mic with Shannon, maybe.
Here, I'll actually just let you sit here. Okay. Oh, here's one.
We got a chair
I'll
for you, bud.
scoop.
And how are you, buddy? Yeah,
Pretty,
slide up there by the microphone.
pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Right,
Yeah.
right in.
Yeah. Are you excited to be here?
Yeah.
Are you excited to meet Chris?
Like,
You-
I'm really nervous.
Oh yeah.
Don't be nervous, buddy. I'm not.
You know what?
That's
I'm not-
okay.
not
I was
mean or anything.
I was walking back and forth before he got here, and so was he.
Yeah,
So
we
yeah.
were just as nervous.
I think
but,
we
let
made
me
tracks
tell
in the hallway back and forth.
Probably.
you. So, tell me a little bit about you, buddy.
One time at nighttime, like, I felt a little poke on both of my ears when I was about to fall off my bed. I have a bunk bed,
Yeah.
and when I did it, I held on, and then when it kicked in, I held on to the edge of the bed, and I think I'm kind of Spider-Man.
You think you're kind of Spider-Man?
Nice.
Dude, that is
Awesome.
awesome. But you can't be telling people that.
Yeah, that's a secret.
Yeah, you gotta keep that secret. Because if people know you're Spider-Man, then they might come to your house.
Yeah.
But if they do, then you could just web them up.
Be
Yeah.
nice. Bring the crime to him.
Right.
Good idea.
Right. Do
That's
you,
smart.
It is. Do you have any questions for Chris at all?
Yeah. When I heard that he was a boxer, I was like, is he a WWE boxer?
He is actually not. He is UFC. He is like real deal, big time. Was
So
on
is that
TV.
above WWE?
Oh yeah.
Just a little different. I'll get some out for you, but go ahead. Keep talking about it.
Okay. Legos are my favorite because sometimes I make Nightwing, and he's my favorite Batman sidekick, and sometimes I try to make Spider-Man and Chima and Ninjago Legos. Like, those are my favorite, and the Minecraft Legos aren't really cool.
Right. Yeah, Minecraft. I'm not really into Minecraft either.
Yeah.
Look at
But
that,
the
TJ.
game-
So there's more what the
Look,
UFC
this is what Chris does. Watch.
Yeah, so it's more that cage style.
No top
Boxing,
ring there.
yeah.
No top ring there.
No, I'm not sure what that means, but I think you're right. Yeah.
Well, I also love music a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And art, like, I've been drawing, like, watching videos on Art Hub, Kids TV,
Oh yeah.
and
Like how to draw. What do you like to draw? What's your favorite thing to draw?
Well, I tried to look up the baby German Shepherd, but it's on a different like a different channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, Chris, is there anything that?
Yeah, so, you know, I was hearing that sometimes people like been not treating you so good. Has that been happening at all? People making fun of you, picking on you. Has that happened at all? All right. Well, that's unfortunate because usually when that happens, it's usually those people are having their own issues. Nobody's really happy and want other people to not be happy. They're just trying to make themselves a little better. But we can't help what they're doing right now. If nobody else is going to try and help out and do the right thing, I want to worry about you. So what I usually tell people in this situation is, you know, whenever people have accomplished some very good things. I know you want to be a coder. Is that right? You want to do code? See, whenever people have been able to do some pretty great things, usually there's some kind of something in their past that's giving them motivation. For example, when I was young, I was really little, and I hated being really little. I wanted to be bigger, stronger, faster. So it really pushed me to want to lift weights all the time. I had motivation because I didn't want to be little. I didn't want to be weak. I used to get beat up sometimes. I didn't like that. You know, so it made me really work really hard because I had this pain that made me want to push me to do better. And so I noticed that with a lot of people who've accomplished some good things, that there's something in their past that gives them motivation to work really, really hard. They might do something to make them want to be a doctor. They work really, really hard because of something that happened. They can turn that pain that people cause them into fuel to motivate them to do great things. So my encouragement to you is if somebody's doing something that you don't like, you got to utilize that to be like, I'm going to study harder. I'm going to do this better. I'm going to code. I'm going to work on my coding more. I'm going to do whatever I do harder and stronger and better because you got to channel that pain somewhere. You cannot let that bring you down. You got to make that elevate you. I've noticed all the great people been able to do good things have done so with some tragedy in their life or some bad things that have happened that make them successful. It's going to be hard to be successful if everything's good. You go, this is easy. It's not going to be easy for anybody who does great things. So I want you to try and utilize whatever happens to you to try and make that a positive thing. It's all how you look at it. If you can make that a positive thing and make you say, I'm going to work even harder. That's what you need to do with this. All right, bub? If you can try and do that, I think you're going to, who knows, maybe you'll invent your own games. Maybe you invent some new coding thing. You can do whatever you really, if you really dedicate yourself to it, I think you can do some great things, bud. So. Yeah. Good luck to you, but I really appreciate you being here. So you got anything else for me, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about anything.
Okay. And also, I made a friend with one of the bullies, and now he's not a bully anymore.
Man, see, that's very good. That's fantastic. And, you know, if you read one of these books here, I'll try and make sure I get you one of these. Basically, the point of it is I want people to, like yourself, if you might see somebody else getting picked on, and it'd be nice if you could either like tell a teacher, talk to the guy afterwards, or try and just let them know that they're not alone. Because a lot of times when people are being, you know, bullied and the depression starts is when they feel like everybody's laughing at them and nobody understands them. But if they would understand that, like, there are people out there who care about them, that's all it takes for them, and then they're going to be okay. I was talking to a lady not too long ago and said at the lunch somebody like pulled the seat out from their son. He fell down. Everybody laughed at him, and she's like, if this one kid would have came up and said, sorry that happened, it would have helped him out so much. But nobody did, and he just felt really embarrassed and sad and alone. But so I want you to kind of be that guy who can help other people out, because some people can't help themselves out very much and they need somebody like you.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Good.
One time at school, someone was getting bullied, so I popped in there and said, fuck off.
Good man. And you see, that's the thing, is a lot of people don't want to do it because that takes courage. It takes a lot of courage. I've given the story several times. You know, sometimes when I've done some things and I didn't do the right thing at all times, and it's bothered me for years afterwards. I'm like, man, why did I'm supposed to be this big tough fighter, but I didn't do the right thing because I was worried people would make fun of me. I'd rather be made fun of all the time now than feel bad for the next 10 years because I didn't do the right thing. So try and think. I hope, you know, I always tell people, I hope the next time you don't do the right thing, hope you feel bad for 10 years like I do. So I'm just not going to let that happen anymore. Like, I try and make sure I do the right thing now just because I feel good about myself. And that's all at the end of the day. You want to feel good about yourself, and people will respect that eventually. So I want you to keep that mindset.
Absolutely. Hey, if you want, we're going to give you one of the books that Chris brought us. We'll get that signed for you.
Okay, now, was it DJ again?
TJ.
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 He's the DJ.
Yeah, not anymore.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for being here, buddy.
You're
Appreciate
very
you being
welcome.
brave and strong and standing up for people. That really makes me
Absolutely. It
happy,
takes a
bud.
lot of courage to
There's
come
a
in here and
game I
talk like
want to
this.
make.
Pardon me?
There's a game I wanted to make, and it's called Batman versus Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who do you think would win?
I'd play it. I'd
Spider-Man.
Think so? No?
Yeah. Because Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, and yeah, in one of the episodes,
It's fantastic right there. I like it.
All right.
web slingers
Thank you
where
for,
it has
allowing
spikes
him to
on
come in.
them.
Oh, of course,
Absolutely.
man.
That's wonderful.
Of course, man. Anytime I can,
That would do it.
anytime you can hopefully make some form of a difference, just try to. I just feel bad I gave your book away. I'll get you another one.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, that's
I've got
Hey,
pictures.
she was smart. She already got the.
I did.
She already got the
I
sign
did.
right away. You wait. You're not taking my book. See, that's why she's
Got
the
my
mayor.
name in
That's
it,
why
so
she's
I
the
can't
mayor.
give it away.
I should have put you in the mayor.
I,
What's wrong?
yeah, that's all right.
Next
Hey,
time.
that's all. That's fine. Good.
So with your foundation, you don't just focus on bullying, though.
No, we've been pretty fortunate. We've been able to go do some. I mean, it's all in the same realm. We've done some women's self-defense classes that we've been able to put on at some facilities. They'll have us come in and just try and make it where it's free to all the women. Like we'll have the facility give us somebody to pay for. I have another trainer who comes with me as a police officer, as a martial arts dojo, and been doing it for like 25 years. So I'll have him come in, and myself and another one of our another instructor. We go in and teach, a lot of the foolish stuff that people think, well, I have a pepper spray, I'm going to be fine. I'm like, well, that's a good plan A, but hopefully if somebody runs up and you go, hold on a second, let me grab this out of my pocket, you're in big trouble if I can get this thing out. But, there's just a lot of different things that I didn't really realize a lot of women don't feel safe when they're putting their groceries up and are coming home from the grocery store or just walking down the street, That's a thought that's never been in my mind, but as a guy, I have 2 daughters, I want to make sure that people know how, at least have an idea how to take care of themselves without these, you watch a movie and a girl walks up and punches a guy in the face and knocks him out. I'm like, I've never been knocked out by a man. If you hit me, you're going to make me mad. Don't hit me. That's not going to work. Do something different. Poke me in the eye. Even UFC, you poke him in the eye, they go, hold on, time out, 5 minutes. This guy, man, gets 5 minutes, he can't see. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Poke him in the eye. You don't want to hit him in the face. So I'm trying.
Hey, is
Yeah.
that like the flop of basketball, like the LeBron
The
James
eye
play?
poke.
Oh,
I mean, usually not, because usually they show the replay, and usually it's always an eye poke. I mean, maybe if you're really tired, I don't know, I've seen it happen many times, but no, the eye poke's a real thing, and when they do, it's, you might try and do it if they've already done it once or twice to get a point, but you don't really see that too often. But that's a good idea. I like that.
yeah. I've got a question from one of our viewers.
All right, what do we got?
How
here?
much of an impact did wrestling as a kid have on your work ethic as an adult?
It was everything. I mean, here's the thing. That's why wrestlers are such good fighters typically, because the training is very similar. I mean, you have to realize you have to work very hard to be successful in wrestling. I mean, it's not just the hard work, but it's a lot of the discipline. You have to not eat. I mean, the weight cut it's constantly on your mind. You get done with football or basketball, you go home, okay, I'll do that tomorrow. Wrestling, it's still there, like I got to lose 8 more pounds, or I got to lose 3 pounds, or I can't eat today, or I can't do this. I mean, it's constantly on your mind, 24/7. You wake up at 2 in the morning, I'm hungry. I can't drink anything. My throat is dry. I mean, it's a very difficult aspect, and to make it to where, if you want to be good and you decide, I'm going to do everything I can to be good. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to work really hard in the gym. That's what it takes to be a successful fighter. I don't know if you get that as much in other sports. So I think when people come over from football, there's a huge learning curve they have to go through. I mean, only way it really works usually is with heavy guys, because heavyweights aren't good fighters anyway. They're terrible.
They're slow.
They're terrible. They don't know how to do none. I mean, they're big and strong and they can hit hard. That's pretty much it. They're not really good submission guys. If they are, they can't take a punch. And the guys who can hit hard aren't good at submission. So they don't really know that many moves as big, strong guys. So if there's any heavyweights, listen, sorry, it's the truth. That's when it comes to UFC. I don't know about like with wrestling, not so much. But you know, it's just, you know, that's where you learn a lot about. But I mean, some guys can learn that in other sports. You can learn that in football and basketball. But I mean, it just seems like in wrestling you have to learn it. You can learn it in other sports. You have to learn it in wrestling. So good question by whoever that was from. I'm obviously a wrestler who knows what they're talking about.
It was, I can look it up here and tell you exactly who it was. It's up here at the top here, and it was. Gosh darn it! I should have had that ready for you.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
you should. So I'm going to take over while he's
Go ahead.
finding
Go ahead.
out.
Go ahead.
So
Do your
I have
thing.
a question
Let's
for
hear
you.
it.
Who did you not fight that you always wanted to?
Man, I was
That's
always
a
trying to
good
fight.
question.
I was always trying to fight Carlos Condit. I had it scheduled twice, and it really makes me mad because the first time I was supposed to fight him, I was training, and you know, I blew out my ACL and meniscus. I had to have total replacement of my ACL and my meniscus repaired because it was like my knee was bent and it couldn't straighten it out. I was like, that's sitting right, and then my meniscus and so I had total replacement. And then, you know, we both, I think I'd won like 4 in a row. He'd won like 3 in a row. We were both climbing up in the rankings. I was like, all right, I want this fight. Whoever's going to win might be getting a title shot. And then I was scheduled to fight him in Australia. And then I remember about a month and a week out, I hurt my knee. And I went to the doctor. And I was like, hey, my knee is swollen up. I need you to drain it. And he's like, well, I think you tore your meniscus. I was like, I don't think so. You know, I'm pretty sure I know more than any doctor, so I don't think I did. And he said, well, I'll drain it for you, but let's get an MRI, and tomorrow you'll come back, and, you know, I'll tell you it's been torn. I was like, all right. So he drained it, and the next day, swelled up just as big. I came back, he's like, yeah, you tore it. I was like, well, what can we do? He's like, I can go in there, and I could cut, you know, probably 20 to 40% out, and you'll probably have to be off for a week, but then you can, if you want to fight, you can. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I was like, all right, let's do it. So we had the surgery, and I woke up, and they're like, yeah, it was worse than we thought. We had to cut the whole thing out. So I didn't even know you could not have one of those. I guess they're like tonsils, just extra parts. I don't need them. So I did that, and then, you know, about a week before the fight, like, I didn't really do any groundwork because my knee was messed up, and I knew it was going to be a stand-up fight. So about a week before I left for the fight, they called me like, oh, Carlos hurt his knee. He's out. I was like, yeah, he didn't hurt it as bad as I bet. I didn't even tell him. I was like, all right, whatever, and I went fought somebody else. But that was always a guy I wanted to fight because he always fought very, like I was talking about the Matt Browns, and just he brought it. And I knew it wouldn't be a boring fight. I knew no matter what, it was going to win the fight of the night. So it was going to be good. And so I really enjoyed it. I really wanted to have that fight, and it never happened. So I was able to fight Matt Brown twice, though, so it was good.
Right.
So that last question was from Jeremy Fields.
He a wrestler?
It's my brother-in-law. He's he just retired in, I believe it was like February or something, from the Marines. He's been in the Marines for 22 years. He was in the Marines.
Man,
so,
nice.
Yeah, he's served our country a lot and served our country very well. He's a great guy.
Well, thank you.
And, it's an honor to have him as a brother-in-law.
Absolutely.
And, he's kind of a giant. He's like probably 6'5". He's a monster.
He was not one of the guys I'm talking about who can't fight well because they're big.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he can
he's the exception to the rule.
If I'm
betting.
If I'm ever somewhere and he's with me, I'm picking on everybody.
You're talking mad. Yo, what do you got to say?
Nobody can do anything.
So like I got a quick one for you.
Yeah, what do you got?
So you're retired.
Mm-hmm.
You did a couple months ago go over and fight a bare knuckle match.
Mm-hmm.
If there was one person that called you out, would you come out of retirement to fight him?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Oh man, I wouldn't say there might be more than one. Like I said, there's always Carlos right there.
So if he calls you out and said he would fight you, you would come out of retirement to fight him.
Don't forget you're being recorded. Just so
Yeah,
you know.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I
pay
probably
attention
would.
to that
I
now.
probably would. Another one would probably be, like I said, the other guy I already talked about there. That I mean, you know, the problem is I'm friends with this guy, and it would just be awkward. But you know, the other guy, I just love the way he fights. Is Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, I'd probably fight him just because That'd be another great fight. So I mean, that's the only kind of thing that interests me really. Not like a winnable fight, or not a thing I can outpoint, or I can probably. The win-loss isn't really a thought. It's just I want to get out there and put on a. See, the thing about that is what I like to do with people like that. Like when I fought the guy from Philadelphia, like he was a better fighter than me, but I just. I took his best shots, and then I said, I'm tougher than you. I'm going to beat you because I'm going to be tougher than you. And when you're able to impose your will on somebody like that against another, professional athlete like that, a great fighter, and you break them and you beat them, that's pretty good feeling you can have. And so that's the only kind of position I'd like to put myself in, where you go against another extremely tough, hard-nosed guy who tries to come forward all the time. And when you can beat them at their own game, man, that keeps you going for a long time.
Now, is my memory, did you fight one of the Diaz's?
I fought Nick Diaz when he was like 20 years old. I was like 27, 28, a long time ago. Yeah, I lost a split decision in California.
Now, Nate's the younger one that's very, very cocky.
Oh, yeah.
Very. How is he as a person? Do you
know
him
what?
at all?
No, they're not fake at all. So what you see is what you get. But the funny thing is, like, ever since I fought Nick, I met Nate, then I met Nate. They absolutely love me, man. Whenever I see them, they're big fans of, or we're friends. I mean, because I think what they just don't like, a lot of the fighters are kind of phony and fake in certain ways, and they hate that, But if you're pretty genuine, they're actually pretty nice guys to you, If you're just a hard-nosed, real down-to-earth fighter, they'll have respect for you. But if you start, I'm this, I'm that, and they don't like that at all. So then they will hate you, and they'll probably try and fight you. You know what I mean? But they've always been nothing but nice to me. But
that was a question for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. A lot of people do not like them, and I'm like, man, they're not. If you're actually hanging out with them and you're treating them all right, they're actually all right guys. I mean, but they're a rowdy group when that.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, I don't know.
Shannon, do you have any questions?
Come on, Shannon. I mean,
I've
you're
been
not like me.
taking
What's
it
going on
all
here?
in. I've been sitting here taking it all in. No, I think you are a very gracious guest, and I think some of the things that you're doing are really great and needed. So I know that bullying will have my support for sure. Anti-bullying, that is.
I was going to say, don't
Yeah.
get me bullied.
Yeah. So
Shannon, I got a question for you. Are you up for re-election here?
I am next year. Yes.
I mean, let me know. I'll come help you
Okay.
if you need anything.
Yeah.
If I can come talk
Sure,
at a thing, maybe you can get some people out there.
Yeah, that'd
maybe
be great.
not. I don't know.
I'm going to take you up on this because it's recorded. Don't forget.
Did I say that? Are you sure? Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no
I
problem.
love that.
Like I said,
Appreciate
well,
it.
the thing that gets me is when they're talking about, you doing things at the street level. That's kind of different, and I like that because like I said earlier, that's a huge problem when the people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good majority of the time.
If the people knew what these guys did, especially the Street and Water, they would not be giving them such a hard time because they just have no idea. I mean, it opened my eyes, so thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I was wanting, to know what they do so that I can have some empathy.
How are you supposed to make the decisions on who gets paid what or who gets what and who doesn't if you don't have any clue
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to sit there and read a paper. Oh,
Yeah.
that's easy. But when you actually get there and you see it, that's one reason I think I try not to judge anybody on anything because I don't know what you're going through, what people are going through. Maybe if I've been in that situation, I can understand a little bit more. But if not, I'm like, I don't know. How can I judge what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I wish people wouldn't be so close-minded and just try and think they know things that they have no idea about.
Right, yeah, I agree. Thank you for saying that.
No problem.
True. And I will take you up on that other thing.
Amen.
And honestly, like, believe it or not, like, Shannon deals with her fair share of bullying as well.
Oh yeah.
What?
I
Yeah,
am not discriminated against as far as bullying goes. I mean, I am actually. So yeah, it's hard, but thick skin.
Who's bullying you around? I don't get this.
Well,
what's happening
Well,
here?
and being a public official, that,
Yeah, they can say
I
whatever
see.
they
They throw a
want.
lot of names. Okay, I see
They
what you
can
mean.
say
I
whatever
see what
they
you
want.
mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately. So I get it, and sometimes it's hard to see, but
I know.
I don't know most of the people, so
Yeah, I know. I ran for state senate a few years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and like it was right when I retired from the UFC, so it was just funny. I remember they hated me. You know, they did not want me to be in there. They were bringing pictures of me bloodied up around. Do you want this to be the next day? And stuff. And they were finding all these different, you know, articles, everything, and they took a couple things out of context. It was jokes and saying how I like beat my kids and I was misogynistic and all that. So I was just like, man. But it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I laughed. I was like, whatever. If you're gonna vote for somebody else because of that, then.
Yeah.
But it made me, you know, I just got tired of being around places where I had to leave. I was like, I got to go take a shower. I feel disgusting. These people are slimy. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. So.
I'm sure you do. You know more than I do.
I get it. Yeah.
I had a little taste and it was enough.
Yeah. It's not fun, but you have to have thick skin, and I think I have thick skin.
That's one thing firemen don't have to have
Yeah.
because they don't get cussed. They're the
Everybody
heroes.
loves a fireman.
Right.
Hey, I do like that, and I feel bad. Like I said, I got two stepfather, all police side, and you know I feel bad for them, especially right now. I feel like in the last 10 years, this anti-police sentiment is unbelievable,
terrible.
and I don't get them. Like what? They're the guys who are doing the right thing. These other people who are the criminals, they're the ones who are the wrong. But anyway, I feel bad. We show up in the scene, and no matter what, everybody's happy we're there. And you can show up because somebody's house got broken into, and they're like, "Why weren't you patrolling?" Like, I didn't know somebody's. We can't be everywhere, you know. So it's like, no, they're never happy to see you, always happy to see us, and yeah. And I appreciate you guys continuing. Not you guys so much, but more the guys in Indianapolis. I appreciate you guys for continually doing stupid things on TV to get the public mad at you and happy with us. I thank you.
When you guys are napped out in your chairs, I mean, they're not going to see you anyway.
Hey, I cook a lot, man. I mean, I cook. I lift weights. That's how I tore my pec right here, lifting weights at the firehouse the other day. So I mean,
the good old police firemen.
Yeah, it's all
All day
it's
long.
all it's
I hear
all
it
in
all
good
day
fun.
long.
okay. Let me tell you one thing. Do you know what the police and the firemen do have in common?
What's that?
They both want to be firemen.
That's good to
Let me just tell you,
I know.
he was probably 2 points away on the test of being a policeman. He had to settle for fireman. So.
That was funny.
That was a good one.
How's that for going head to head with lights out? Anybody? Huh? Come on.
I liked it. I never heard that. I never heard that before. That was good.
Well, do you want to open up the comments for a few
Please,
for
that'd be
a couple
great.
questions? Okay. You
Sure,
guys got any
absolutely.
Comments? I'm kind of trying to keep track here on my laptop a little bit, so start firing away, and I will start looking through here because I just saw a few a minute ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, let's see what's that.
Oh, my mom commented, actually.
Don't do that to Gary, she said.
I know.
What's that? What's
She's
that?
standing up for people.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
is.
wrong show.
So are you still helping out with New Pal Wrestling?
I am not. I retired from that. Well, I quit doing that about 2 years ago. You know, I don't think people realize I was an assistant wrestling coach for New Pal for 5 years, and I don't think people realize just how much time is involved. We take about 1 month off. You're there throughout the year. You're there all the time. Summer practices, you know, fall, spring, you know, whatever. You're just always there. A lot of dedication to be there, and I was trying to, you know, still be a family man, work in the fire department, and ahead of the guys I trained, you know, in Nick's martial arts. I was always going to. I mean, just in the last, 5 years for MMA, I've been to Sweden, I've been to, China, I've been to Brazil, I've been to Holland last year, and that's just out of the country, all over the place, all the country. It's just taking trips all the time, it's very difficult to try and dedicate time to coaching as high school as well. So I wanted to be there more. I felt like really I was doing like 10 things mediocre instead of 4 things well. So I had to cut back on some things, and that was something I had to get out of. I got Rex here in my ear trying to get me in Southport next year.
Oh yeah, trying to get you back to the old alma mater.
Stomping grounds, exactly. So there's more of a tie there. The only thing about New Pal was it was about 4 minutes away from my house when I started doing that.
Kristen Brown says that you should do, and she's not the only one that has said this, that you should do a presentation at the high school about bullying.
Yeah.
I would love to. Like I said, I can't just show up like I'm here. Where am I going? We have to start the dialogue at some
Call
form.
me and let me know when you want to come, and we'll just show up, and I'll just tell them.
There you go. Usually, here's the thing I've realized is it seems like it's kind of late in the year now. Usually they want me to do it at the beginning because the state of Indiana did a very good thing and said every school has to have an anti-bully program in place by October 15th. And the problem, they go in and you get no money, figure it out. You know, so a lot of people are like, well, what are we supposed to do? You know, I know a couple of guys I've heard who go out and do this. They're charging like $4,000 for them to come out. I'm like, ooh. Yeah, let me see if I can't call and get a sponsor to give you guys some books and some shirts and some stuff, and I'll come do it for nothing, you know.
Right. Well, and
So-
you know, I mean, because a lot of public schools, I mean, a lot of their funding and stuff has been cut. You
I know, that's what I mean, but they say put this program in place, don't tell them how to fund it. So
Right.
what are you going to do?
Okay, let's see.
But
what
yeah, I'd
else.
love to come down here and talk. So
And I'm sure that we would love to have you. Yes, the site, I'm sorry, I put .com. The site for the shirts and the books are
the ChrisLytleFoundation.org. Yeah.
ChrisLytleFoundation.org. Jeremy, I saw you link it there, so I will pin this comment to the top so everybody can see it. All right, Carrie, you got any questions while I'm doing that?
Do I?
What you got for me, buddy? Come on.
I
know there's got to be something out there.
Man, I don't even know. I was hoping that somebody out here would come up with something, but they're just telling us what a good job we're doing. So I guess we're doing all right.
Yeah, this is our first ever podcast.
Yeah, you're,
That's
you're
awesome.
on the first one, so am I. Yeah.
Yeah.
If,
Good job.
Yeah, so now the bar is set extremely high.
Yeah. Jeez. Well,
You're
well,
taking
you
on
know where to go
next.
from here but down.
Yeah. So I have no idea what we're going to do next. Steve wants to know, do you worry about concussions?
Well, you know, if he could see me right now, there's drool coming out of the side of my mouth. 'Cause- No, you know, I don't. That's one of the reasons I wanted to retire, to be honest with you. And I was very fortunate. You know, I had a lot of guys around me who actually cared about me for who I was. I remember my boxing coach, and who helped me with MMA, would always tell me, like, Chris, we're not going to drive this car till the wheels fall off. And I was like, I get it, because going to boxing matches, you would see a lot of guys there who were like doing around the boxing room, and they didn't talk right. And I remember I was like, that's not going to be me. And he's like, no, it's not going to be you. And I remember I had a couple of tough boxing matches, and he was like, well, you've had 2 wars, legitimate wars. You only get 5. And you get 5, and you're done fighting after that. And I was like, okay. So I know that is a legitimate problem. And luckily for me, I have this like Homer Simpson type of thick skull or something. I don't get it. I got the Homer Simpson syndrome, and I don't get knocked out. I've never been knocked out. So I can only really think of one fight afterwards where I thought I got a concussion. I remember I'd close my eyes and I'd feel like I was going to fall down and be off balance. Like, don't close your eyes anymore. I have to sleep with my eyes open. But, you know, besides that, I don't think I really got many concussions. But a lot of my ability to stop that was because, you know, I was very dedicated to what I do, and I would spar an awful lot. I mean, I would spar a lot of rounds, way more than most people. And the reason is I just wanted to be so proficient at it and not take clean punches. So I just didn't sit there and eat punches when I'm punching. I'm rolling with punches. My eyes are seeing, you know, the punches coming, so I know how to block. I mean, it's just second nature, blocking everything and not taking clean shots. So that was kind of my goal, was when I would fight, was to, you know, be pretty elusive, and even when you do get hit, not make them like a real powerful shot where you're going to take the concussion. So, and that's just hours in the gym, just, you know, round after round after round of learning how to not take clean punches. So I feel like, you know, it was just all the time and energy and effort that I put into it that really helped me to perfect my craft. And I mean, there's a lot of good fighters I'll go out there and watch. I remember there was a guy, what was his name now? I'll think of it. I know his name really well. Who was he was the last guy to win Indiana Golden Glove, or the National Golden Gloves. I'll think of his name in a minute. 1993, and he was a legit fighter. Lived up in Purdue. I went and sparred with the guy once, and he was probably 40 at the time. I was probably 30 at the time, and I don't think I hit the guy in the head once. I mean, he was so elusive and fast, he could move. And I was like, this guy's been around forever, man. How could I not hit this guy? And he was like right there at the Olympic level, but he didn't quite make it. But he was a really good fighter. So I know that's kind of what made me think, man, I want to be like that. I want to not be able to get hit. And when you do, just kind of roll with the punch and you don't take the full force.
All right. Doug Bailey wants to know, what got you motivated to be a fighter?
Really, it was wrestling. I was a wrestler, and then when you get done with wrestling, there's no real. You don't go like go out and play basketball. Like if you're a basketball player, you go out I'm gonna play some pickup games. There's no pickup wrestling leagues. You know what I mean? So one of my friends was like, I'm doing this shoot fighting. I was like, what is shoot fighting? He's like, it's like wrestling, but you can choke people and do arm bars. Like, okay, I'll try that. And I go in there, and then you could do like kickboxing with it, and most of the guys there were they weren't as good a wrestler as I was, so I immediately had success, and I'm a kind of guy who likes success right away. I mean, I tried to play guitar for a week, and I was like, this ain't for me. My fingers are stupid. I don't get it. So I'm not good at just being like a participant. I want to be good at stuff, and I want to be good quick, and I was good at that quick, and so I enjoy the aspect of the competition. Whenever that may be. So I got to go in there and start competing. I really, enjoyed that aspect of. Really, it's like anything where it's whatever I want to put into it, I'm going to experience that level of success. So if I could really dedicate myself to it, I enjoyed it because I would be successful at it. And I knew nobody was going to outwork me. I was going to try to outwork everybody I could. I remember just being in the gym so much. I remember people were like, "Get out of here!" I was like, nah, I just kind of want to be here, but. I like that aspect of you can do that in fighting and be successful. So that's what drew me in was the fact that as hard as I want to work, that's how much success I'm going to be able to have.
That's
Patty,
great.
we're not going to ask him that question.
Come on, Patty, what do you got?
There is no way. Lana will be down there.
There's a woman that lives here in Martinsville, and she's a bit of a local legend.
She's a handful.
For what?
She's not a handful. I'll stick up for her.
She is a handful. She's a little wild.
I don't know. Yeah, she's wild. We'll just say that
All
she's
right.
wild. Her name's Lana Farron.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Well, I thought you were talking about somebody else.
Oh, you're throwing the names out there and everything.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Everybody loves Lana,
We
though.
love Lana. but-
Somebody's done texting her right now. She's on her way, I guarantee
Well,
it.
we're gonna be doing a cooking show actually with her.
Really? I love cooking.
Well, and that's what Patty wanted to know. If you would be willing to share some of your cooking skills with her on her cooking show, but just to warn you, like
You might not leave.
it might be like a misery
I'm gonna-
type of situation.
I'm going to have to bring the wife
So,
for this one. She's going to have to say, you better back off this. Hey, Kristen will punch somebody right in the mouth.
my wife is the same way. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
exactly. No. Hey, I love cooking, man. But
I hate cooking. I just want everybody to know that. Everybody that knows me knows I hate cooking.
She's too busy.
Are you
used to
good at
love
it, but you just don't like it?
I was a few years ago. I was probably pretty good at it. Probably not so much now because
just busy.
I just haven't done it for so
All
long.
you do is like
Busy.
every night's probably a power lunch at Bynum's and just steak and
Oh, I
lobster all the
wish that would
time.
be so nice. No, it's eat when I can, and sometimes I forget, but not a lot because I love to eat. So
I do it every day.
yeah, I do it
Typical.
every day a lot actually.
My wife wants to know, what do you feel is your greatest accomplishment so far?
Wow.
Being the first one on your podcast.
That's
Justin,
definitely
right?
that's the top
Right?
5 for
That's-
sure.
I was gonna say.
Man, that's tough. I mean, I don't look at really that I've been able to accomplish really anything I've wanted to. I mean, I think everything's a work in progress, and I just, I remember a long time ago I was thinking, it's a good and a bad thing that people recognize me from the sport of mixed martial arts. But I remember thinking, it'd be really sad to me, look, you always want to look at your funeral, what people are saying about you, and I'd hate to see. This was a guy, great entertainer, would fight and could take a good punch. I mean, that's a horrible legacy to live. I don't want that to be what people think of me for. I want it to be the positive things I'm able to help people out with. And when people think of my name, just a positive influence in the world, and being able to help other people, like I said, just enhance their lives. I want to help make young people into responsible adults. I want people to be able to take care of themselves. I don't like the direction our country and world is going in. The things we're talking about earlier, the nothing's my fault, instant gratifications, all these different problems that I think are definitely going to get worse. And I want to try and do what I can to help people, be just be what I would call just men and women, just actually be adults. And move ourselves in the right direction. That's what I want to work towards. I don't think I'm there yet. I think that's what I'm trying to do, and I don't think I'll ever be done doing that. And I don't really think I've been successful until I can continue, do that type of thing.
Right. And honestly, that's what we're.
That's what you guys are here for, man. That's
Yeah.
why I wanted. That's why I'm happy to be here.
And that's what
Appreciate
we're trying to do here. Is we're trying to. The thing I've kept saying is, the way people get their information now has changed. So the way that information needs to be delivered to people has to also change.
Agreed.
And I think a lot of the confusion, a lot of the animosity, a lot of that kind of stuff comes from people getting bad information, because there's so much of it out there, and people go to Facebook to get their information. So
Sadly.
that's why I started this actual page, and the whole purpose of this page is it's all positive, all local,
I like it.
all the time.
Good.
And it's, local shows featuring local people. We're getting the youth involved, doing some all youth podcasts and some all youth produced things. Pet of the week, like just things to show this community that regardless of what they're seeing from all the mainstream news, there are good positive things happening, and not everything is doom and gloom constantly all the time. And if we can, as a community, focus on those positive things and utilize those in our day-to-day life, then I think that will have a ripple effect and start affecting the communities around us. And I just hope that it would grow.
Well, I commend you for trying that, because we're just it sounds like we're doing the same thing. You're using a different avenue somewhat,
Exactly.
but fairly similar. I do a lot of different podcasts where I try and focus on the same type of thing. But I know what you're talking about. You look at the media, especially. You have two different distinct. You get like CNN type thing and Fox News, and they're both 100% like.
We're Fox.
I have
If
to,
anything,
but
we're like Fox.
let's not be
So.
let's not be crazy here, of course. But I'm just saying you get like one set of news, and then you look at the other side, and it's like not even the same. Like, are we in the same country? Is this the same news? Because the slant is so 180. It's like. It's hard to believe I can see how there's confusion from people, you know what I mean? It's crazy. And these are supposed to be trusted places,
Absolutely.
Do you have any more questions for him, Gary?
I don't think I do. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
It has been
It's been fun, yeah.
Yes.
Well, man, I really appreciate you guys having me on here. It's been cool. And let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. I don't know we'll have to talk about that cooking thing. I don't know, you guys seem a little hesitant
No,
from it,
man.
but I don't know.
If you want
Hey,
to
if
come on,
she-
you're more than
yeah,
welcome
If
to
she
come
You
on.
breaks
love
my
water.
ankles, like in that movie with the sledgehammer, this is not cool. Do not let that happen to you.
I wouldn't let that happen.
I don't
Okay.
think she would do that. But
No.
she's a good cook, I'll tell you.
She's a
Well, that's what it's all about.
Great
She's
cook.
a great.
And, I,
Yeah,
and once again,
absolutely.
we could all eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here to
Yeah.
tell you, I always have. She always hits me up and is like, Gary, I made so many pounds of ham salad. Do you want me to put you back one or two? Oh yeah, put me back one or two. I'll come get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her
Nice.
no-bake cookies.
Oh.
Those are my favorite.
Oh yes, I love
Yeah,
them too.
They're so good.
Yeah, she can cook, she can bake, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Sounds good.
Yes.
I like it.
All right, well, Martinsville, thank you guys for tuning in to us tonight. Again, we'd like to extend a thank you to Chris Lytle for coming by in studio, talking about his book, talking about what he's doing now after fighting, and Martinsville Schools. If you are listening to this, get with me so I can connect you with him so we can get him down here to speak to these schools. Also to Mary Shannon Cole,
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
thank you so much for being on.
No problem.
I'm sure I will try to be a regular guest.
Yeah,
So,
I'm happy to do it.
and that's actually another show we're gonna do. We're gonna do Monday Minute with the mayor.
Yes.
Just a quick
Update
Quick-
people
I love
on
it.
what's going
quick
on.
rundown.
Yeah.
Quick video
Got a
rundown.
lot of great things going on around Martinsville right now.
Yep, every Monday, keep people updated, let them know what's happening and what we're working on.
You know, that's important. You can hit it straight from her mouth.
Yeah.
There's no filter in there and no getting,
Exactly.
confused or whatever. So
No,
that's a
no.
great idea.
No telephone game.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Well, thank you.
all right, well, Gary.
Well done, guys. Well done, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
coming on.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys all for tuning in, and we will keep you updated on this page and let you know when our next live will be. Stay tuned, and we will have some more stuff for you coming this week. Thank you guys. Thank you, Martinsville Live. We love each and every single one of you, and have a wonderful night.
Have a good night.